The phenomenon of Liverpool fans booing the national anthem, particularly the British anthem, God Save the King, formerly God Save the Queen, is far from a simple or isolated act of disrespect towards the monarchy. It is a deeply embedded expression of political, cultural, and socio-economic resistance. The reasons for this defiance are rooted in centuries of history, economic hardship, political disenfranchisement, and a sense of betrayal by the British state. To understand why Liverpool fans boo the national anthem, it is necessary to delve into these intricate layers of history, geography, politics, and identity that have shaped the city's relationship with the British establishment. Historical context: from prosperity to decline. Historically, Liverpool was once one of the most prosperous cities in the British Empire, serving as a vital port and gateway for trade between Britain and the rest of the world. The city's wealth was built upon its mercantile roots, with Liverpool benefiting greatly from the transatlantic slave trade and its status as a major port in the 18th and 19th centuries. However, as the British Empire's dominance waned in the 20th century, Liverpool began to experience a marked decline, particularly in the post-World War II period. This decline accelerated during the 1970s and 1980s, when the city's traditional industries, shipping, manufacturing, and dockwork, began to erode. By the time Margaret Thatcher's Conservative government came to power in 1979, Liverpool was already facing significant challenges in terms of unemployment, economic stagnation, and social unrest. Thatcher's policies exacerbated these issues, and the city was particularly hard hit by the government's approach to deindustrialization, which many saw as a deliberate policy of managed decline. Government ministers, such as Norman Tebbit, were reported to have discussed how the decline of Liverpool was a deliberate and necessary step in reshaping the British economy. During this period, Liverpool experienced severe economic hardship, with unemployment rates in parts of the city reaching as high as 30 to 50%. This period of economic deprivation was accompanied by rising social tensions, and in 1981, the Toxteth riots broke out. The riots were a response to police brutality, racial tensions, and economic neglect. The protests, which lasted for 9 days, underscored the profound alienation felt by many in Liverpool, particularly among the city's black and working-class communities. The Hillsborough disaster, a defining moment. While the economic difficulties of the 1970s and 1980s had already created a sense of disillusionment with the British state, the Hillsborough disaster in 1989 cemented the divide between Liverpool and the authorities. On April 15, 1989, during an FA Cup semi-final match between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest at Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield, 97 Liverpool supporters tragically lost their lives in a crushing disaster caused by overcrowding in the stands. The aftermath of the disaster saw an outpouring of grief from the city, but it was also marked by an institutional attempt to shift blame onto the victims. In the weeks following the tragedy, the Sun newspaper published a notorious and false front page headline that accused Liverpool fans of causing the disaster by drunkenly fighting with police. The story, titled "The Truth," was an egregious lie that portrayed the victims as hooligans, further deepening the sense of injustice felt by the people of Liverpool. In subsequent years, it was revealed that the police and government had colluded to cover up the true causes of the disaster, and they shifted the blame to Liverpool supporters. This betrayal by the state became a rallying cry for the people of Liverpool, who felt that their grief had been ignored and their community vilified. The inquests into the disaster, which concluded in 2016, eventually found that the victims had been unlawfully killed due to gross negligence by the police. However, the legal process was slow and fraught with barriers, with police officers and government officials attempting to avoid accountability. In 2019, the police officer in charge on the day of the disaster, David Duckenfield, was cleared of gross negligence manslaughter, further exacerbating the feeling that justice had been denied to the victims and their families. The injustice surrounding Hillsborough remains a defining moment in the history of the city and a key driver of animosity towards the British establishment. Cultural and political identity. Scouse, not English, the sense of betrayal by the British state is compounded by the development of a distinct cultural and political identity in Liverpool. Over time, the city has developed a unique sense of local pride and defiance, which has manifested in the widespread use of the slogan, "Scouse, not English." This phrase reflects the feeling of many in Liverpool that their city is different from the rest of England, and that its people do not necessarily share the same cultural or political values as the majority of the country. The term "Scouse" refers to the local dialect and the people of Liverpool, and it has come to symbolize a proud working-class identity that stands apart from the English establishment. The slogan, "Scouse, not English," is a rejection of the traditional notions of Englishness, which many in Liverpool associate with the monarchy, the flag, and the national anthem. Instead, it reflects a sense of belonging to something that is distinctively Liverpudlian and working class, rather than British or English in the traditional sense. This sense of otherness has historical roots, going back to the 19th century, when Liverpool's growing Irish population, due to the Irish potato famine, contributed to the city's transformation into a more ethnically diverse and politically left-wing community. This influx of Irish immigrants led to Liverpool being seen as a foreign city in Britain, with its people often viewed as outsiders. The perception of Liverpool as different from the rest of England has persisted for over a century, and it has been reinforced by the city's political stance, which has generally been more left-wing and critical of the British government than many other parts of the country. Football and protest, a powerful symbol of resistance. Football, in many ways, has been the most visible and powerful symbol of this political and cultural resistance. Liverpool FC, as the most prominent football club in the city, has long been at the heart of this defiance. The booing of the national anthem at football matches is a form of protest that goes beyond the sport itself. It is an expression of dissent against a state that is seen as having failed the city and its people. The booing became particularly prominent during the 1980s when Liverpool played in several high-profile cup finals, including those at Wembley. The national anthem, played before major events such as the FA Cup finals, became a focal point for protests. Fans would often sing their own version of the anthem or simply boo, rejecting what they saw as a symbol of a government that had betrayed them. The anthem became synonymous with the establishment, and as such, it became the most logical target for their anger. This protest was not limited to the 1980s, but continued into the 21st century. In 2022, Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, was booed by Liverpool fans during his appearance at the FA Cup final. Similarly, in 2023, when King Charles III was formally crowned, Liverpool fans once again made their opposition to the monarchy clear, booing the national anthem before a home match against Brentford. This continued defiance is a reminder of the city's long-standing resistance to the British establishment. A symbol of rejection. The national anthem as a target of protest. The national anthem, "God Save the King," serves as a prominent symbol of the British state and monarchy. As such, it is the most logical target for protests from Liverpool supporters, who see it as an embodiment of the institution that has historically ignored, marginalized, and, in many cases, vilified the city and its people. The monarchy, as the symbolic head of state, represents an institution that Liverpool fans associate with betrayal, particularly in light of the events surrounding the Hillsborough disaster and the government's treatment of the city during the Thatcher years. In a broader sense, the booing of the national anthem is an expression of dissatisfaction with the British state's treatment of working-class communities, particularly in post-industrial cities like Liverpool. The anger expressed by Liverpool fans is not simply about the monarchy or the national anthem itself, but about a sense of being abandoned by a system that prioritizes the interests of the rich and powerful over those of ordinary people. Conclusion: a proud tradition of defiance. The booing of the national anthem by Liverpool fans is a multifaceted act of protest with deep historical, cultural, and political roots. It is a rejection of the British establishment, a symbol of the city's defiance in the face of economic hardship, social inequality, and institutional betrayal. It is also a rallying cry for a city that has long been marginalized and misunderstood. The anthem, as the most prominent symbol of the state, becomes a focal point for the anger and frustration felt by Liverpool's working-class population, who continue to feel alienated from the rest of the country. The tradition of booing the national anthem is not a passing trend, but a long-standing expression of resistance, rooted in the city's complex history. As such, it is likely to continue as a potent symbol of Liverpool's defiance against a system that has often failed its people. In this sense, the boos that ring out at Anfield are not just about football. They are about something much deeper, a proud tradition of protest, of fighting for justice, and of asserting the identity of a city that refuses to be silenced.